Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for coming back and continuing to support my channel. I appreciate all of you all so very much. Today, I am a hot mess express. I've got little dudes on my shoulders. I've had a lot of pain in my shoulders recently, and I don't know why. So, we have this cool little contraption that sends electrodes through your muscles, so I'm hoping to get a little bit of relief from that. I hold all of my stress in my neck and my shoulders, so it doesn't really surprise me that I'm sore. I do drive a lot. That causes a lot of like hunched over and stressiness, so there's that. I also sit at the computer and edit videos for hours on end, so there's that as well. I also have my hair up because as soon as we're done with this video, I am taking this makeup off. I hate this eye look. Hate it. So, there's that. Today we are going over the palette that I pulled in my Palette Roulette series for last week. It is the Winky Lux Mermaid Kitten palette. This palette is a really cute palette by Winky Lux, and I got it because I have the kitten palette and I loved the kitten palette. This was the first time I had used this palette. It's 9 shadows in it that are very under the sea themed. This palette sells for $25. It is on the Winky Lux website with 5-star reviews, and there are 43 reviews to give it those 5 stars. And then on Ulta, it also sells for $25. It is on sale quite often. It has 4.4 stars on Ulta with 16 reviews. This is a cruelty-free, vegan, paraben and sulfate-free brand. There are, like I said, 9 under the sea themed shades in this palette. There is 0.53 ounces of product, or 0.059 ounces per pan. And in grams, if you're more of a gram person, that is 15.3 grams for the whole palette, or 1.7 grams per pan of shadow. The packaging is a nice cardboard. It does have a magnetic closure. It isn't heavy because it does not have a mirror. On the exterior of the packaging, you see there are cute little kittens with mermaid tails and some coral on there. It is a teal, like aqua blue with purple coral, and it does follow the same scheme on the inside of the palette, which I love. It does tell you on the exterior of the palette the shades that are in the palette and their names, as well as give you a little bit of information about Winky Lux, and just gives you the information about the palette. It does say that it has a 24-month shelf life, so I've got a good 2 years before this is supposed to go bad. Yay me! There are, as I said, 9 shades in here, and let's just start with showing you the swatches of these shades. Alright, the first row of shades is this one here, which is Sand Dollar. It is a pearlescent pale yellow shade. It actually performs more like a white on your eyes. It is what is in my brow bone today. I didn't realize that this was a satin pearly finish until I tried to set my eyeshadow primer with it one day and then was like, oh, that's fantastic. That is pearly. This really is a beautiful, beautiful shade. It does blend out very, very well. The next shade here is called Seafoam, and it is more like a topper. It is an iridescent, pinky, glittery shade. It's super stiff in the pan. It's more stiff than any of the other shades in this palette are. And there is a little bit of fallout with this shade. It's more glittery. And then the last shade on top there is that one there, which is, it's called Topless. And it's listed as a champagne lilac satin. I feel like it's a little more like it performs a lot more like a shimmer without like the, you know, glittery fallout of a shimmer. It is kind of chunky, but it also, in my mind, looks a lot more pink than it does anything else, but it does have that like lilac to gold shift in it. So that is that first row, and I'm not sure that you guys are getting a very good picture. That's that first row. The next row are these three colors here. Do you guys see my lipstick? It's like worn away. We have Pink Sands, which is just a super peachy pink matte. It is pretty much, you cannot see it. I'm going to dig in again and let's try that one more time. Maybe, can you? Yeah, it's not very pigmented at all for a pink. Then we have this shade here, which is called Ursula. I actually got this one in a single in, I think, Ipsy once, and I really do like it in the single pan. But then I picked up this palette, and I'm not really sure I'm in love with that one. It is a deep purple satin is what it is boasted as. I think it performs more like a shimmer, honestly, without all the glitteriness to it. And then we have this blue here, which is also a satin. It's a deep ocean blue satin that is super creamy. So those are those three shades. Again, you can't even see the pink. The pigmentation there is just nil. All right, the last three shades are these ones here. The first one is Siren. It is a beautiful shimmer seafoam green, kind of like turquoisey, super, super pretty. The next one is Seaweed. It is a matte, and it is a horrible matte. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is super patchy. It lacks in opacity. It is not a great color. It's a matte teal. Matte deep teal is what it is called. Such a disappointing color. And then there is this one, which is Treasure. It is called a satin gold with glitter. I think it performs more like a shimmer than a satin, but I feel that way about all of them. It is kind of a creamy texture in the pan. That Seaweed, that middle shade right there, that middle matte shade is really stiff in the pan. It feels kind of grippy in the pan. So that right there should tell you how it performs. Those are the 9 shades in the palette. I'm going to scooch over so I can put in the eye looks that I created with this. This is really good for a really soft-toned eye look. I would say that most of the time I didn't get any kind of like vibrancy out of it. It's definitely not as vibrant as it looks in the palette when you get it on your eyes. It only has 2 mattes in it, so I found myself dipping in quite often to the other little palette that I brought, which is the one that I have for my project pan. I was often dipping into this one as just a little bit of oomph, which is a blush. I was giving it a little bit of oomph into that like light peachy pink one on there. I was also dipping into this one to deepen up an eye look. Just because I didn't have a whole lot to go on with this palette, I used Sand Dollar almost every day in my brow bone and inner corner after I realized that it was a satin. Even though it's kind of yellow in tone, it really does look white on the eye. I don't know if you guys... It does have a little bit of yellowness to it, but like once you put it on, it actually looks a lot more white in an eye look. So I used it mostly in my brow bone. I also used Seafoam, this one here, all over the lid one day and realized it was more of a topper kind of shade. It just kind of fell out all over the place. I did use the pink one here almost every single day in my crease, just to lay down a shade in my crease over the top of especially a tacky eye primer. I would say that this palette only gives about 6 to 8 hours of wear before you really start seeing the shadows shift around on your lids or like fade. And there is quite a bit of fading in this palette. Seaweed, that dark matte teal. I have to say that these two colors, not these two colors were probably and the purple were probably the three colors that I really was drawn to in this palette, and I was super disappointed with this color. It's the color that's in my eye look today. A good majority of my eye look is that color. I do have it on the outer V on the inner corner. I have it blended up into the crease and then blended out up here. It is a really good color if you're just packing it into a small area. But once you start blending it out, it becomes the worst, patchiest matte shade I have ever had to work with on my eyes. Like I said, I hate this eye look today, and a lot of it is because of that seaweed color. I do have the seaweed color on my eye today, this shade on my eye today. I do have this packed right in the center of this shade, and then I've got the sand dollar color up in my brow bone. And like, I don't know, it's pretty, it's so patchy. If you get super close, you can see the patchiness. I should have a picture of my eye look, and I hope that you can see the patchiness of it. It's just the most disappointing color in the palette. I think that my favorite colors in the palette were this purple here, this green here, and honestly this pink, because I use the pink every day, even though it's not as pigmented as I wanted it to be to create a cohesive eye look. It is a shadow that I used every day, and I just found it fundamentally easy to use and apply. My least favorite would be that dark green seaweed color, which is sad because green's my favorite. Even though I don't like it on my eyes, I do like a teal on my eye. If you're going to use a primer with this palette, and I do think this palette performs better with a primer than without, my suggestion is a creamier primer. One that can easily dry down into a matte status, or one that you can pop a matte white over the top of, or a matte flesh tone over the top of, and it's not going to create like a tacky effect on your eyelids, because these aren't going to perform on tacky lids at all. I don't think that the satins or shimmers in this palette perform any better wet than they do dry. I think that they perform better tapped onto the lid with your fingers or a more densely packed brush. I do not think that they blend for poop. The blendability overall in this palette is not amazing with the darker shades. This blue is in my eye look today, but you would never know it because I did put it into the crease, and as soon as I started blending in that seaweed shade, the blue disappeared. So it's just too creamy. It's just too creamy for blendability in the shades. I appreciate the creaminess of the shades, but it's too creamy for blendability. If you're going to pack on your shades onto your lid, this is a good palette for that. But if you're looking for blendability or a good vibrant eye look, this isn't the palette. This will stay in my collection because I do appreciate the tones in it. I do think it's got some uniqueness to it that I love. There are just, I wonder though too if I could like depot it and just take out some of the shades that I like. But I do have this purple in a single that I got in Ipsy that I think I got twice in Ipsy actually, and I absolutely love it. I think I have one in my vanity and one in my giveaways because like I said, I think I got it twice. So I don't need to depot that one. But I would definitely depot this one. This one is stunning. It is so, so pretty. And maybe even the Seafoam. Honestly, it doesn't need to stay in my collection, but it will. I do like Winky Lux shadows. I think that they're great. This one just has a little more of a creamy formula than what I'm used to with the regular Winky Lux Kitten palette. And that one I love. That one has more mattes in it than it does anything else. I love that palette. So that one will always hold a special place in my heart. This one, not so much, but I will hold on to it. It's a decent palette. I'm not mad at it. And I did create some really good eye looks. I just found that it wasn't a palette that I could use cohesively on its own. So now we're going to pick a new palette. And for those of you who do not know, I do have a Samsung Note 9. And to pick my palettes, I use an app that I got in our Play Store called Decide Now. This is what it looks like. It is just a decision wheel, like the Wheel of Fortune, and all of my palettes are in here. As we use a palette through this Palette Roulette series, I do take the palettes out. As I get new palettes in, I put them into the decision wheel, and when we pick a new one, we just spin the wheel, pressing that middle button, and we let it spin. And I think I forgot to take this palette out, actually, but that's okay. We got the Too Faced Extra Spicy Gingerbread palette is the one that we got. And it is relatively new to my collection. My daughter made me pick it up at TJ Maxx, I think in December. So I am going to go get that and I will be right back. Alrighty, this is my palette for next week. It is the Gingerbread Extra Spicy palette by Too Faced. And this is what it looks like inside. It looks like we're dealing with some warm tone shades in here. Actually, I'm okay with that. We have had some color lately, so I am okay with this palette next week. I'm super excited to use it. I don't have the regular gingerbread palette. From what I understand, if you had the regular gingerbread palette, you didn't need this one. I did pick this up at TJ Maxx. I think it was like $16.99 or something like that at TJ Maxx. So I got it on a hell of a deal. I'm excited to use it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that if you did, you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel out there. I also hope that if you liked it or me enough that you're considering subscribing to my channel. It is free to you and it is a huge help to me. And I would love to have you along for my crazy midlife crisis here and have you part of my YouTube family. I hope that you guys stick around, even if you don't subscribe, that you do stick around, because I do these videos every single Monday, these palette roulette videos, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the palettes that I am using down in my comment section. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that February is treating you amazing, and I will see you next week when we talk about this palette. Actually, I'll see you before then because, you know, I'm going to upload on Wednesday and Friday per usual as well. So stay tuned for those videos, but I will see you in next week's Palette Roulette to talk about this palette. Why can't I get these words out my mouth tonight? All right, I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much. Bye. Oh my god. Grace. Why did I not see? Grace is a bad influence. I want the palette.